Hello and welcome back to JBCTR. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Johnny and on this channel we host a variety of car and technology reviews. Today we're taking a look at the Nextbase 412GW GPS enabled dashcam. So the Nextbase 412GW, as you may or may not know, has been out for a couple of years now. It's actually been superseded by two generations now, the 512GW and also the 612GW, both of which adding additional features to this model. Now, there's a reason why I'm covering it now. That is because I still believe that it is one of the best bang for buck dashcams you can buy right now. It's pretty much covers all the bases and you get a lot of the features of the latest ones. So it's GPS enabled, you get an extra wide field of view, it still does 1080 at 60 frames per second, and for me that's pretty much all I wanted in a dash cam. So without further ado, let's see what you get in the box with the 412. Of course, you get the Nextbase 412GW dashcam itself, a windscreen mount that houses a GPS module with two attachment methods, an adhesive pad and a suction cup, a power cord with a cigarette lighter attachment, a mini USB cable to connect the dashcam to a computer, a protected by Nextbase sticker that I'm pretty sure nobody will ever use, feel free to correct me if any of you do use this, and a CD which contains a soft copy of the user manual and Nextbase's dashcam software. This is great, apart from I've not owned a computer with a CD drive for many years now. In terms of design, there are no longer any buttons on the rear of the unit as they have been replaced with touch sensitive pads. Although this sounds like an advancement, I can't help but feel that it's made the device look a little cheap. On the top of the device, you have the internal microphone, a mini USB for transferring media, and the windscreen mount. On the right hand side of the device, you have an HD out port, and on the left hand side of the device, you have your SD card slot. An SD card is not supplied, so you'll need to budget for one of those too. The 412 can support up to 128 gigabytes, and if I'm honest, you kind of need one with a decent write speed as you are going to be writing video to it. So for me, I picked up a SanDisk Ultra. It's 32 gigabyte. In fact, it's the one that was recommended by Amazon, and it was easy. So that's the one I went for. Should work okay. The 412GW records in a choice of 2, 3 or 5 minute clips. And of course you can choose to alter the resolution. You can record in 720 and stuff. I don't know why you would want to do that. But for me, the biggest choice will be whether I want 1080 at 60 frames per second or an ultra wide 1440p at only 30 frames per second. I'm gonna need to have a bit of a play with the camera just to figure out what I actually need and what it looks like. And I will make my decision at the end of this video based on what we find. So without further ado, let's get it into the car because that's its main use, and yeah, let's get playing. Now, there are a number of ways to install a dashcam, and today we are doing the most simple and basic installation, which is simply plugging it into the cigarette lighter and letting a cable trail up towards the camera in the center of your windscreen. Now, if I'm honest, it's an absolute pet peeve of mine when people install the dashcams like this. I think it is so distracting, and having that cable flailing around it's just not a good idea. So I will be hardwiring mine. I will do a separate video on how you hardwire. In fact, Nextbase do a kit, hardwire kit, which I have here. But there are also other ways you can hardwire without using that kit, and I'll cover that in that video then. So for today, to get started, let's just plug it in basically. It comes with a nice little handy cap on the top which you slide forward to remove. That is probably worth keeping in case you do happen to move it from car to car. It's probably a good idea to have that on there to protect the contacts. Again, we're using a fairly basic install, so we're going to use the suction mount because I do intend to move it for this time. But when I hardwire, I'll also be using the adhesive mount because it's a bit more of a permanent feature, less likely to fall off. But in terms of mounting this thing, it's just a case of slide it straight on and it's mounted.
Now we'll fast forward through this bit because I'm pretty sure you all know how to plug a cable into your cigarette lighter and use a suction cup.
And that is your dashcam mounted. And this is why I really hate people mounting them like this. But anyway, for the purpose of this demonstration, that is how easy it is to get in your car and set up. So let's have a look at the menus. Firstly, you'll need to go through the initial setup, which is really easy. Simply select your language, country and units of measurement, and the date and time will be acquired from GPS. Once setup is complete, the device will start recording automatically. In order to adjust the menus, you'll need to stop the recording by pressing the OK button. When you're in the menus, you have the option to change resolutions, exposure settings, audio recording, putting a stamp of your number on the video, the length of the video recordings as I mentioned earlier, enabling parking mode, and also enabling the G sensor. When you are done adjusting the settings, remember to hit OK to start recording again.
So there you have it. That is the Nextbase 412GW in a nutshell as it comes out of the box. Now obviously I've not used it in anger yet, I've got no footage right now, so we'll take a brief interlude, which will be a couple of days for me. I'll go record some footage, I'll share it with you, and you can see the quality of the images that come out of this little device. Okay, so it's been slightly longer than a couple of days now, and that's been good because I've been able to try out multiple settings in multiple locations at different times of day. And if I'm honest, I don't really have anything to complain about. The experience has been very positive. There are, however, a few things that I stumbled upon that would be nice to know if I was a prospective buyer, so I thought I'd share them with you guys at home. The biggest one, of course, is the size of the SD card. So as you know, I went for a 32GB, which I thought would be more than enough. But in the world of dash cams, that will only really cover 45 minutes worth of footage if you are filming at 1440p, which means if you frequently do journeys longer than 45 minutes, by the time you reach your destination, the beginning of your journey would have been overwritten. So if you wanted to keep any of that footage, then it's gone. In terms of the quality of the footage, I've been quite impressed, so I'll share this with you guys now. Please bear in mind that this is straight off the camera, it's not edited, I didn't want to do anything like that, so yeah, let's have a look.
Okay, so daytime in 1440p. I chose this shot simply because it was a nice view, but it gives you an idea of the quality. I think it looks great, but the lighting is absolutely perfect here. But as we go around the corner, you'll see as the light changes, we now get a terrible reflection of the dash speaker in the windscreen. Now this is where a polarizing filter that's found on the 512GW would come in handy. Next clip, again, this is in 1440p, but this time in poor lighting. Cars with LED lights look a bit odd if you look closely, although I guess from the perspective of this being a dash cam, that doesn't matter too much. If you look close enough, number plates are still visible, even in this light, which is quite impressive. Now, if we switch to 1080 at 60 frames per second, I find that in poor light, number plates are a little harder to read, which is odd. In terms of field of view, switching to 1080 is not that noticeable in my Fiesta, mainly because there's a huge lump in the middle of the windscreen that houses all the tech for lane assist, high beam assist and all that, so I can't really take advantage of the extra wide field of view. However, in daylight, with 1080 60 frames per second, despite there being awesome lighting here, I still find it a little harder to read the number plates than I did when using 1440p. Now I get that I'm being picky, but when you have the option of using 1440p, why would you not?
The 412GW does also have a built-in Wi-Fi module, which allows you to transfer pictures and videos straight to your phone without the need for a PC. Now, my experience with this has not been too good, if I'm honest. I can get my phone to connect to the 412GW, and then the app on the phone simply doesn't recognise that the camera's there. I've tried it 3 times now, so if any of you guys at home have any solutions to this issue, let me know in the comments because I'd love to get it working. But otherwise, my experience has been very positive with this. I could highly recommend it, especially for the cost. Yes, it could do with a polarizing filter, but again, that pushes the cost up. Does it need 4K? No, I don't think so. As you saw, resolution is more than good enough to see what's going on around you, and you can also pick up number plates even in pretty low light. So if you were to go up to a 4K camera, for example, not only would the camera be more expensive, the 612, in fact that's nearly double the cost of this at the moment, and an SD card for that camera would be also significantly more expensive as you'd need more storage and a quicker write speed. And with that, we'll leave it there. So if you want to know how to hardwire one of these, I'll put a link to the video up in the top right of how to hardwire. And if you enjoyed this review, please hit that subscribe button and I will catch you in the next video. There goes a sight from my soul.